Yo, 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 what's good, everybody? This your man, Squalla, and this is another episode of Always Everything with Squalla. And today we got a special guest with me. You've seen him on here before, but if you could do the pleasure to introduce yourself one more time for me, please.
What's going on? What's going on? My name is Yahuchanon Yahuda.
Cool. So basically, you're here today to talk about the marriage and family therapy or wellness.
Right.
So can you give me a little background about what exactly that is?
Sure. So I'm currently in school, studying to be a therapist, marriage and family therapy, be a therapist of marriage and family therapy. And basically what that is just a therapist of, like it says, marriage and family therapy. And a lot of people they they think that it just has to focus on marriage and and family, but it 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 encompasses so much more because a lot of things that happen with us, are systemically from things that happen within the family, and so whether it be from childhood situations that happen within the family. A lot of people, they have problems that stem from situations with a mom or a dad, brothers, sisters, or whatever. So, that can affect them long range, well into adulthood,
Right.
or even another family member. So, there's always room for a lot of things that occur later on in life and why they're occurring, you know. So, this is where marriage and family therapy comes in. It's not just for, couples therapy. It goes so much deeper
So why did you decide that you wanted to get into the field?
because I'm all about my community, our community, and for the melanated people. And one thing I see is that in our community, we have a tendency to think that going to talk to somebody is taboo, and listen, if you grew up in our community, we all, to include me, we all have issues that we either have had to deal with or are dealing with. And so the matter is, how we deal with it. And we all need somebody to talk to sometimes, and a lot of times we don't realize that. And we end up talking to a friend, we end up talking to a brother, a sister, a mother, a father. And in itself, sometimes that is therapy in itself. And we handle therapy. And you still there?
I'm good. I'm here.
Okay. I don't know how much you got. It
No,
seems like we might
I
have
heard.
froze for a minute.
I heard everything.
Okay.
That was my end. I messed up.
Okay, cool. All right. And so, it's just, I'm all about bringing awareness of, bringing mental health awareness to our community, and letting us know that it's okay to talk to somebody. I mean, we do it all the time, but sometimes we just do it in the form of talking to a friend or talking to, a loved one, but we all need somebody to talk to. So sometimes we might look in the wrong direction. We might talk to the wrong people that we think have our best interests at hand. And a lot of times we end up getting wrong advice from people that we think are in our corners. You know, um, Marriage and family therapy, therapist rather, you're talking to somebody that doesn't have a I guess an agenda, doesn't have agenda in your interest other than to, you know, your best interest at hand. We're not your, we're not the other person's friend, so to speak. We're not your friend, so to speak, although we do bond with you,
Right.
but we don't have any hidden agendas to where, you know, oh yeah, I know that, I know that person. Yeah, they ain't no good either. You know, I told you from the beginning you should have never talked to that person, or, you
Yeah.
know, I told you that person was no good to hang out with you. And sometimes this is what we can get when we go to people that, you know, might not have one of the other best interests at hand. You know, so I think this is the this is the caveat you can get with actually speaking to a professional, you know, someone who is licensed and someone who has training in that matter. So, you know, it's just about bringing awareness, you know, mental health awareness to our community,
All right.
and that's what I'm about.
So how would you say a person would know to that they needed help or to go get help? How would a person identify that in themselves to want to be able to say, yes, I need to go get help?
So I don't, in many cases, I don't think it's a matter of needing to get help. I think it's a matter of everybody needs somebody to talk to sometimes, you know, and that's just the thing. We have a, you know, we have a tendency to think that you have to be, something has to be wrong with you, you know,
Right.
something has to be wrong with you in order to go talk to somebody, or, you know, um, as we have a tendency to say, you have to be crazy, you know what I mean? You have to be crazy, or, you know, you have to be psycho or something like that to go get help. And you don't, you know, I think you could be perfectly fine. You could be or think you're perfectly fine. And there's nothing wrong with going to go talk to somebody. It's very therapeutic, and it can really do you good just to have somebody that doesn't have any type of interest in or hidden agenda, you know, to where they might know the same people you know or anything like that, that you don't have to be afraid of letting your guard down with, you know, and you could just let it all out. You'd be surprised how therapeutic it can be to just be able to go talk to someone,
Right.
you know, and not have that feeling of, well, I can't say this because they know that person, you know, or I can't say that because, you know, that's that person's cousin, or, you know, we are still family, you know, so I
Yeah.
can't say this. You'd be surprised how therapeutic it is just to talk to somebody. So I don't think there's a matter of how a mental state that you need to be in to the point where it comes to a certain point where you need to go speak to someone. I think everybody could benefit from talking to someone.
Right. Is there a such thing as a right therapist and a wrong therapist?
Yes, I believe there is. I believe there is. Um, because I think you want to, I think you have to bond with your therapist. And although a lot of therapists might have the same training, and there are therapists out there that have been out there for years and have a lot of, you know, knowledge, you know, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I think that it would be more conducive to someone who seeks out someone who might have the same background as someone that you go speak with. I'm not saying it's necessary.
Right.
I'm not saying it's necessary because it doesn't mean it is. You might have somebody out there with 20, 30 years of experience that has come across all different type of cultures, all different type of ethnicities, all different types of backgrounds of people, and they have a vast amount of experience, you know. So there are those out there, you know, but then there are those who have just catered to a certain demographic as well. So coming from another demographic and going to someone who's just catered to a specific demographic, you know, it might not be conducive to what you're looking for. And I'm not saying that's always the case, but, you know, I think that it's important that you bond, that you're able to bond and feel comfortable with the person that you're talking to.
Right. There was one time where I tried to go get therapy a few years ago, and me and a therapist ended up getting into an argument, and it was like,
Really?
yeah, I was like, yeah, that's done. I was like that one.
What happened? What happened?
So I was, well, I think I might have just turned 21 at the time, and
Uh-huh.
I had gotten into a car. Well, I got into a few car accidents, and my aunt had suggested, she was like, "Well, maybe you need to talk to somebody. Maybe it's deeper, or whatever." So I said, "All right, I'll go do it." So
Hmm.
I go to the therapist. We did like a couple sessions. It was all right. We get to this one session. We're talking about the car accidents, and
Hmm.
he's basically just telling me how everything was my fault or whatever. He basically was just telling me it was all my fault. Everything that was happening to me, it was. I'm like, all right, I don't want to hear that. So me
Really?
and him
Wow.
ended up getting into it, and it turned into me just walking out of there, and I'm like, all right, I'm not coming back.
Yeah, I could definitely understand that. I could definitely understand that. That's unfortunate. That's definitely unfortunate. And so let me ask you, was it a therapist or was it a counselor
And see,
or
that's
a social worker?
is there. I don't understand the difference in between counselor and therapist. I do know it wasn't a
It,
social worker though.
okay, so a therapist is actually licensed. You know, they're licensed and they have to take board exams and everything. Where a social worker is not board certified or licensed. You know, so there's a difference. Yeah,
Oh,
there is a difference.
see, I don't remember which one, but I know it was supposed to be therapy.
Okay,
So
okay. Yeah, that's a shame. That's a shame that happened. I don't know the whole situation, you know, but I definitely know, in my opinion, I don't think that was that might not have been the right approach. Obviously, you walked out, you know,
yeah,
and you had no resolve. So, you
and
know, that's definitely not the
I realized I was younger then. See, I know it was more so I was going there for anger or maybe like I used to get frustrated real quick. So I was
Mhm.
going there for that. We were supposed to take a test, never even got that far. Like, but I don't know if it could have been me just getting ticked off too quick. I don't know, but I know we got into it. It was an argument though. So
So let me, was it the car wreck or was it anger management issues?
I be, see the the car crash. I think it triggered like a bunch of stuff in my family wanting me to go to therapy. So they wanted me
Hmm.
to go for anger. So that's what it was more so. But I was focused on something else. I didn't feel like I had an anger problem. But I guess looking back at it, I used to get mad quick. So it was like whatever. But I don't feel like I have an anger problem now. But I think that was just a mental
Right, right.
thing. But
Looking back at that, I think you realize that you might have had an anger problem for the simple fact that you walked out.
yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely walked out because if I ain't walk out, it was gonna go to another place. Then it would have been a whole different situation. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely not good. That's definitely not good. You
And then
definitely
the
didn't want that to
therapist,
happen.
he was an African American guy. He was probably a little too old. That might have been the
Hmm.
disconnect really, because he was
Hmm.
close to my mother's age, and
Hmm.
he understood her more than he understood me. So my mother went
Hmm.
in there, she told him one thing. So I guess he already had an idea what he was going to say in his head to me based off of what she told him. But I
Right,
don't
right.
know what happened with him. But he started blaming me for literally just telling me like it's your fault. Like
Yeah, that's a shame. That's a shame. I mean, you should give it another try. You really should. Obviously, we're not with that same therapist, but you know, you should definitely give it another try because I mean, there's different approaches to therapy, and a lot of angles that therapists take in today's world. It's not focused on, who was right or who was wrong, but more so of how do you fix the problem? How do you fix the problem more
Right.
so than what happened to spark the problem? But how do you fix the problem? What do we do to resolve it? Because what happened with the problem, it really doesn't matter. It's how do we get to a solution?
Right. So, how do you feel about young people getting therapy, more so like teenagers and young adults?
I think it's great. I think it's great. I don't think that there's any age limit. I think it's awesome. Again, I think there's a big stereotype around therapy, especially in our community, that we feel that there's this big stigma about therapy, and I don't think that there's any specific age that someone should look at getting therapy, because just because you go talk to someone doesn't mean that there's anything necessarily, any underlying issue wrong.
Yeah, because that's
It
what
can,
a lot of people think that. Like, I hear
right,
people say, "Oh, I'm not taking my child to this because ain't nothing wrong with my baby," and,
right, right,
the child would hear that too, and like, I guess it's more of a programming thing at that point.
right, right, exactly, exactly. And it's like, same thing with law enforcement. You're in the store you see parents in the store with their young toddler child, and the cop walks in and he's doing nothing but minding his business and getting something to eat himself. And first
Right.
thing parents say, "Oh, there's the police. You better be good. I'm gonna send you to him."
Yep.
What are you doing? You're creating a
Make
fear
yep. Making them
of
scared.
that police officer. So now he's scared of the police officer. And the last person he's ever gonna want to go to is the police officer, because in his mind he's always like, oh, he's the boogeyman. My mom always told me she was gonna send me to him. No, so yeah, a lot of times as parents, man, we really have to watch what we say around our children, to our children. Really do. Yeah, we definitely do. It kind of sparked why I started, my podcast as well. And I have a podcast called So-Called Black in America, where I talk about a lot of social issues that occur in our community, because I'm really all about the community, and not so much as making all of these complaints about what's going on in the community,
Right.
but trying to elevate the community and trying to say, trying to bring social awareness to our community and show that there's other things that we can do, to help ourselves, and to get some type of resolve, and to show that there are different avenues that we can have. And it's a new I just released my fourth episode yesterday.
That's cool.
So
That's
I
cool.
dropped my fourth episode yesterday, so-called Black in America. So, it's been going pretty good. It's been going pretty
That's
good.
cool. That's cool. That's cool. So, from your standpoint, do you think that maybe a little even just addressing mental health will solve a lot of problems that we have in America today?
Oh wow, that's a
As you look
I
at
don't
this,
think
there's
right.
there's
I don't
somewhat of
think
a gender war going on between men and women. There's the
right,
racism thing. There's the LGBTQ, and then it's just a lot of different little. Then you had the murder rate, kids killing kids, all type of stuff is going on.
right. I don't think that, and again, this is just my opinion, and I also want to say, I'm not licensed yet, so I'm not a licensed therapist. I'm still studying and everything. So,
Right.
you know, everything I'm saying is just totally my opinion. I'm still a student. going to school to become a therapist. But I will say this, I don't think that mental health, just mental health awareness has anything to do with um, a lot of the systemic issues that are going on in today's society. You know, I don't, there's a lot of other underlying issues and other hidden agendas that are going on and some of the very things that you mentioned that are much deeper. And it's a much deeper rabbit hole than just on the surface of mental health, you know.
Right.
Much deeper rabbit hole.
Because it's too much stuff going on. I feel like the government may be trying to make our community go crazy to a certain extent by pushing certain things on the TV, putting certain stores in certain places. You only see them in this community type of deal. I feel like
Oh yeah.
it's they trying to make us go crazy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, your feelings are correct. I mean, look at how drugs were pushed in our communities, you know, by certain alphabet, you know, type governments, you know, from the early 70s and 80s, you know. I mean, this is documented. It's no secret. You know, we're not talking
Right.
about anything that no one doesn't know. You know, this is factual. So, you know, they were pushing our cities. I mean, you could look on in our neighborhoods, there's a liquor store on every other corner. You know, it's a
Yep.
liquor store on every other corner. You know, you know, all of the things that could bring a neighborhood down, they're right in our neighborhoods. You know, I was just watching a video about 2 days ago that was talking about um all of these type of communities that they were building, and they were getting money from certain government fundings to build these communities. And part of the part of the deal for them to get this money to build these communities where they could not sell to any melanated, you know, African Americans, as they call, you know,
That's
they
crazy.
could not, yeah, they could not sell to African Americans. This was part of the deal that was in their agreement to be lent this money for these communities. And the homes back then were being sold for $10,000, you know, back then, which would equate to about five, you know, so these same homes now are worth $500,000, you know, and they were being sold for $10,000 then. And part of the agreement was they could not be sold to any of us. These were huge communities that this went on in. And you know, this is no shocker. You know, we've all heard of, you know, all of these programs that would push us into certain neighborhoods and everything. And yeah, I mean, it's no secret anymore, you know, thanks to the internet and now, you know, certain things being more accessible to us to where we don't have to go to the library and review this stuff, and we could just look it up online now, you know, and do all the research online right from our phones. You know, a lot more stuff is being made aware to us. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, even the fact of, you know, money in itself is fiat. You
Right.
know, greenbacks it's not even real. You know, money's not even real. Back, I think it was what, 1934, 33, when we were forced to give all of our gold and silver, which is the only real currency. You
Mhm.
know, the government promised that all our debts had to be paid by them. You know, from that all the way to we're not even real people anymore. This is why when you get your bills, your name's in all capital letters now because you're
Oh
not a
yeah.
real entity.
What
Yeah, your name's in
what the all caps mean? I didn't know that meant something.
all now all caps is a fictitious person.
Wow.
All caps is a straw man. It's a straw man. And
That is
you ever
crazy.
heard of Sesta Q? all this is real stuff, you know, and a lot of people, oh, you know, they're in that conspiracy theory stuff, but it's real stuff. It's real stuff, and it can be looked at. All of this stuff is written, you know, and it's factual. This is factual, and the people that say it's a bunch of conspiracy stuff, these are the same people who don't take the time to read, but they're quick to say it's conspiracy without even doing the research.
Yep.
You know,
Hmm.
your birth certificate is a bond. Your social security, it's a bond that's traded all over the world, you know, and they're making money on your straw man, on your name, you know. Look at next time, you know, when you get a chance, look at your bills. All your bills are sent to you in all caps. It's
Yeah,
all caps name.
I know. I noticed it. I just ain't know I ain't think that it meant nothing. I
Yeah,
never knew.
it's a fictitious person. It's a reason for everything.
Yeah, you get a
Is
letter
they
that
do
comes
there's a reason for
regular.
everything.
Yeah, that's crazy. You're right.
It's a reason for
Reason for
everything.
everything.
Yep, yep.
That is crazy. So how do you feel? How do you feel when you hear people say the black man has no voice in America?
Mm, I feel it's true to a certain extent. To a certain extent. Every time we've tried to have a voice, what have they done? They've killed every voice that we've had. You know, they've shut every voice we had down. I mean, if you think about it, where are our heroes? Do we have any heroes anymore?
You're
You know,
right.
where's Marcus Garvey? You know, where's Malcolm X? Where's Martin Luther King? You know, where any of these people, and those are only three names. I mean, there's some huge mogul, you know, people that were stood up for us. And where are they? Where are they? You know, they're no more, you know, and a lot of times certain agendas are placed on people to make us think one thing when it's really something totally different, you know, and they're doing this, and next thing you know, people are disappearing. You
Mm,
know, people are disappearing. I've seen the cure for cancer about 4 or 5 times,
yep.
and I mean I've seen the cure for cancer, and it's always a melanated young sister. Now, it's always a melanated woman. I've seen it one time, but I was one of these child prodigies. She might have been like 19 or 20. She was a doctor. She discovered the cure for cancer, and that was the last I ever heard of it. Never even heard of her anymore, seen her
Right.
anymore, or anything.
Just
But you
vanished.
know, yeah, every time I've seen the cure for cancer, it's always been one of us that have discovered it. But you never hear anything else about it. You never hear anything else about it. So there have been instances where we have tried to have a voice, and there are situations where we do try to have a voice, but um, it is quickly shut down. And I think I how can I say this? It it's not to the point to where, you know, we're just always excuses because we have the same opportunities that everybody else has now, because
Right.
we don't, you know what I mean? Whereas things were done out in the open before, you know, in the 70s and the 80s, things were done in the open. Things are done under the sheets now. You know, things are done under the covers where you can't see it now, you know. So things are still being done to keep us, you know, we have more opportunities than we had before, but there's a ceiling.
Right.
There's a ceiling. They will only allow us to get so far. You know, I was just speaking with somebody the other day about this, and so for example, one of the things that's been done in our community to emasculate the melanated male is in corporate America. When you look at corporate America, what's been done now is the melanated female, our sisters, are the ones that are on the top now.
Right.
When you look at corporate America, they're the ones that are on the top. They're the ones that hold all the high positions in corporate America. The only people over them are the white males. They're the only people over them. And I'm talking as a majority. I'm not talking every single situation. I'm talking as a majority. The only people over them are the white males. So in corporate America, the melanated females, they have become over us, the melanated males. So now what's happened is now they're making more money than us, you know, they're in higher positions than us. And so what have they done with us? They're trying to emasculate us. You know, a lot of us are being put in jail. You know, they're putting stuff in our food to make, you know, to feminize us, you know. The TV and everything you always see, it's always the melanated male that's the homosexual. You know, it's always the melanated male that's the homosexual in the movies and on TV and everything like that. You know, so they're doing this. So now you have this high power female who's making this money. She's running things. She's in charge and everything. And so now, what does she have when it comes to a man? You know, so now when it comes to trying to be with a mate, trying to be with someone, who does she have to select from? You know, her choices are very few. You know, she has very few choices to select from. And don't think that this is just by chance that it's happened that way. No, it hasn't. I mean, this is something, if you look at the Willie Lynch letters, this is something that was dictated in the Willie Lynch letters. You know, it's right there in his letters where he talked about, you know, empowering the black female and making them over the black male. That way they rely on the white male and you know, dehumanize their own males. You know, this is something that was done, and you know, hundreds of years ago.
That's crazy.
That was put into play. You know, and you can see it playing out now. You can see it playing out now. You know, and unfortunately, a lot of women. In fact, this is going to be the topic of my next show that I'm going to be doing. My next show, I'm going to be doing on relationships.
Okay.
And one of the things we're going to be talking about. So, you know, one thing that's happened now is you know, a lot of women have been forced to raise male children on their own. And you have to remember that women are emotional creatures and males are logical creatures.
Yep.
But when you have a woman that is forced to raise a male child on her own, she's not a logical creature. So now you have an emotional creature raising somebody that is by nature logical with emotions. And I think this is one reason why so many males today are so emotional. You know, we don't get along with each other. I was a cop for a long time. I was a police officer. And it's crazy because I could go to a group of guys, and I grew up on the street, so I was never one of these cops that just rolled up to, hey, let me see your IDs. No, I didn't do that. You know, because I came from the streets, you know, so I knew how to talk to people. I respected people, you know, but you could talk to the young brothers on the street and they would have an attitude with you, respectfully talking with them. However, if a female cop walked up to them, talking to them rude and disrespectful, hey, y'all better cut that out. Get over here right now. Get here right now. Let me see they would listen. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Right away. Why do you think that is? Because, man, we've gotten so used to a figure of authority being that woman.
Yep.
So we're not used to males being in a leadership role anymore. A lot of us didn't grow up with dads, I think the Most High, I grew up with my dad, he's not here anymore, but I grew up in a household with my dad, but a lot of us didn't have that opportunity. So now when you come across a male and he's telling you to do something, you feel threatened and you feel like you have to challenge him.
Yep.
As nice as he might be, you feel like you have to challenge him because you feel like it's a challenge. However, a woman of authority could talk to you any way she wants. And you're looking at that as a sign of authority, So we got it all wrong, man. We have it all wrong. And, don't think for 1 second it's by chance that this has happened. This has all been systematically done.
So even down to the teachers. Most of my teachers I can remember were women.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And it is. It is. And this is, we have to do something about it soon, and it's just a matter of, even down to relationships. We look at mainstream media, and TV and the movies to tell us what a relationship's supposed to be like.
Exactly.
And this is why you have so many divorces now. This is why you have so many divorces.
I be looking at the Love and Basketball and all them type of movies. That's
yeah.
That's
This is why you have so many divorces, because people don't know what to look at anymore. They don't know what to look at. I'm a spiritual person, so I follow scripture, I follow the Torah, and this is what we need to be looking at, the laws that were set by our forefathers,
right,
and how they went about, following marital and relationships and things like that. Because guess what? They got married and stayed married. They didn't have TV and Love and Basketball and what's this new one coming out? And great movies. Don't get me wrong. Great movies. But we just need to stop thinking that that's that's reality.
right.
It's entertainment, and that's all it is. It's not how it really is. It's fantasy. It's fantasy.
Definitely is. So it's like, how do you feel? So I know with all that, like you said, like we look at females as an authority figure. So how do you feel about the gender war that's going on? Because it's definitely right now it's a disconnect between men and women, especially in our community.
Right. So when you say gender war, what exactly are you talking about as far as what?
Because like if you go on Instagram or Facebook, you'll see little video clips of women just bashing men or men just straight bashing women. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
it didn't used to be that way.
Right.
And it's like we're so
Uh,
open, so comfortable doing it now too, that the fact that it's so many videos like that. It's a lot of videos.
right. Well, I'll say 4 words: hurt people, hurt people. You know, I think that's the only way to explain it. Hurt people, hurt people. You know, yeah, I can't. I'm not in the mind of everybody. But usually all of that bashing and everything comes from hurt. Comes from certain situations that people have been through and they haven't healed from, and so they're hurt. You know, they're bitter about one reason or another, and they're hurt. And so they lash out. So hurt people, whether male or female.
Yeah, I know. That's just I see it a lot. I see it all, especially in my age group. It's
Hmm.
hard. It's hard out here, and it's like nobody. There is no love. There is no love.
Right,
You get
right,
bashed for showing love. You show too much
right.
love, you a simp. You show no love, you a dog. It's
Yeah, yeah.
it's crazy.
We, it goes back to something I was just talking about where unfortunately a lot of women are left to raise, male childs. And don't get me wrong, man, shout out to all the single
Oh yeah,
women out there that are forced to raise, children out there, on their own, man. Because listen, I'm a single dad and I know how it is. I have a daughter that I raise, and let me tell you, it's no joke. So shout out to all the single parents, whether you be male or female, because it's no joke. So and people are forced to do the best they can, whether male or female. You're not going to go out there and if you're a woman, get a man in your life just so you can have a man in your life, for your child, and vice versa. But with that being said, though, it goes back to what I was just talking about as far as, women being emotional, raising men that are supposed to be logical. So now you have men that are supposed to be logical growing up emotional. And so now you have a lot of males that have grown up with all these emotions and it's fighting their nature. So it's easy for them to lash out instead of being more logical. See, back in my day when I was growing up, even, those are my friends that, we that didn't have their dads around, we went outside and played. We were outside all day. In fact, if you was in the house, you got laughed at because, everybody thought you was on punishment. We were
yep.
outside, and I meant all day. You was outside, you was playing, you was running around, you was outside falling off of buildings. In fact, I was in the third grade and I fell off the third story and broke both of
Dang.
my arms and dislocated my hip because we used to play on the roofs, jumping from roof to roof. And I'm talking third grade. We played, we was
Oh snap!
we was outside. I mean, we played in the train
That's
tracks.
crazy.
I grew up in New York in the Bronx, and we played in the train yards. We played, I mean, everywhere. We used to where I lived at. Shout out to Tracy Towers. We used to when we was young, we used to go mess around in the back of the parking lot just so the security guards could come out there and chase us. you know, and we would laugh at the ones that got caught because you was too slow.
Yep.
And so I mean we were very active kids. We played. We didn't have no video games or anything like that. We played
Yeah.
outside. And so and in doing that, the older the older dudes that was outside, that those of us that didn't have, I grew up with my dad. My dad was very active in my life, and but those that didn't have a male figure in the life, the older the older males in the neighborhood
Mhm.
taught them. They taught them. We didn't go outside and just we was on our own. Because if we did something wrong or whatever was going on, those older kids that was there, they were there to teach us. And what's crazy, like where I grew up in Tracy Towers, and I'm talking this was years ago. I don't want to give away my age, but this this was years ago. We still all keep in touch with each other. We
Yeah.
still all keep in touch with each other. And I'm talking this was years ago, years ago. And just to put it in hindsight, I have a 27-year-old son, so that's we talking a long time ago, and so we all still keep in touch with each other. I'm still in touch with people I know from the second grade, first grade, You know, we still all keep in touch with each other, and we're still all close with each other. You
That's
know, but
that's good.
and even the older dudes, you know, the older dudes, those were our football coaches. You know, before we went outside and played, we had to go to the black mats, and they had boxing gloves, and we had to box. And
Mm.
it wasn't about who won or who lost. It was about just teaching you the fact of, listen, you're gonna fight. You know, you have to learn how to defend yourself. And it didn't matter whether the kid was older than you, whether the kid was younger than you, whether the kid was bigger than you or whatever. If you was next in line, you was next in line, and that's who you fought. And then after y'all fought, y'all hugged and y'all went and played together.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But those older kids that was out there, they mentored us outside and they looked out for us outside. So they taught us that. Unfortunately, the kids these days and the
You don't
younger
get that no more.
generations, they don't have that anymore.
I was
They don't
fortunate
have that.
enough. I had some of that growing up. When I was growing up, I was outside because I feel like I'm in between generations. Like I was born in '93,
Hmm.
so it's like
Hmm.
I saw that whole evolution of cell phones, like the whole entire thing. Like I've seen the TV. I've had the TVs with the knobs on it. So it's
Uh-huh.
like I was a part of the generation that went outside, and then now I'm
Right.
a part of the technical generation too. So it's
Right. Right.
I understand both sides of it, but I do know that I had more fun back then.
Back then, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
because
It's
now
crazy. I
it's a,
say a lot of times, you know, we struggled more, but man, we were happier then.
yeah.
We had less, but we were happier.
And then right
Times are
now
better.
it's a lack of human to human interaction. Like
Yep.
you see people sitting in the same room and they're texting each other
Right. And texting each other. Exactly.
instead of just talking.
Exactly. And texting each other. Yep. Yep. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're
So
100% right. Yep.
it's a disconnect. So how do you feel? How do you think we could get the community back to the community to be a community?
Wow. So I think it's going to take a lot. I think it's going to take a lot. And here's the reason why. We've grown to the point to where we don't need each other anymore.
Yep.
You know, we don't need each other anymore. See, back in the days during my parents' generation, they used to have things called rent parties. So in other words, if somebody was short on their rent money, you know, they'd have a party.
Like off
And
of Friday.
everybody that walked in the door gave money to help that person pay their rent. And they knew that that's what it was for because they were helping each other out. See, we needed each other back then.
Right.
Now, let somebody talk about having a rent party. I guarantee you, people gonna say, "Who gonna pay my rent?
Exactly. Yep.
How I'm supposed to help you pay your rent? Who gonna pay my rent?"
Nobody's coming to that party.
Right? They like, "How I'm gonna help you pay your rent? Who gonna help me pay my rent?" Back then, we weren't worried about that. Back then, it was like that person needs help. We gonna help them because you know what? I know if I need help, they're gonna help me too. You know, now I'm not saying that it's indicative of all of us
Right.
because there are people out there that they will give you the shirt off of their back. There
Yeah.
are. But what I'm talking about is as a whole, you
Hmm.
know, as a whole. So I think what it's going to take is us as a community to realize that we do, in fact, still need each other because the only way that we're going to get out of where we're at now is to start back relying on each other and stop relying on everybody else. And let's get back to doing what we do for ourselves and within ourselves. You know, I mean, think about this. Prior to prior to desegregation, we
Right.
were a whole lot better. We were a whole lot better off.
Yep.
We had our own stores, we had our own hospitals, we had our own communities, we had our own everything. We were a lot better.
I've even
It
heard
wasn't
people say
until
that desegregation was like one of the worst things that happened for our community.
and it was one of the worst things that happened to us, you know, because after desegregation, You know, we were so bent on, you know, letting those people, letting other cultures, you know, or being able to go within other cultures, you know. But if you look, think about this. Every culture that is a thriving culture are cultures that have stayed within themselves.
Yep.
Every culture that's a thriving culture and that's a very successful culture are cultures that stay within their own community and stay within themselves. Look at the Mexicans. Mexicans, they live together, they eat together, they sleep together, they shop together, and they are thriving. They are thriving. They do everything together, and they are a very, very tight community.
Yeah.
And they have the right idea, you know. They have the right idea. They're not afraid to live together in communities and put their money together to get resources. You know, we've lost that. We had it at one time. We had it at one time, but we've gotten to the point to where we feel we don't need each other anymore.
Yep. Everybody stay to themselves.
Yep, yep. So to answer your question, you know, in short, it's just going to take us to realize that we need to get back to that. We need to get back to realizing that, yeah, we do need each other, and we need to pull together and start relying on each other again.
Yeah, because the disconnect kind of like just happened, not like a few years ago. Because like I say, even in my when I was growing up, my neighbors and stuff was they was looking out for me. And
Right,
it's
right,
nowadays, them same neighbors, I still live in the same spot. They don't speak to nobody. Speak to nobody. The
right,
same people,
right,
but just years
right,
ago, everybody was, you know.
right. The further we get along in time, the wider apart we get, you know, and it's not by chance. It's not just happening by chance. This is something that's being devised. This is a plan. And until we wake up and realize that let's stop allowing this plan to take place, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse before it gets better, you know. But we have an opportunity to stop it. We just have to realize what's going on, you know. But unfortunately, there's some of us that just don't care. There's
Yeah,
some of us that are enjoying their life and
yeah,
they just don't care. They don't want any part of the community, our community. They don't want any part of it. They're like, man, y'all go ahead with all that nonsense, you know? You
yeah.
got people out there like that.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Man. I appreciate you for coming on again, man.
Not a problem, man. I appreciate you having me. I really do, man. I appreciate you having me on, man. And you know, you know, like always, man, I enjoy talking to you. I enjoy being on your show, man. It's definitely a privilege,
Yeah,
definitely a privilege and an honor.
it's a pleasure to have you here, man. I apologize for the camera keep glitching on me. This joint, I don't know what's going on with it, but
It's all good.
it,
Technology, you know, technology.
yeah,
Check technology, you know. But you know, if I could just, you know, say, you know, just, you know, again, you know, if everybody, you know, all your listeners and everything, man, y'all could, man, check out my show. Look me up on iHeartRadio or Spotify, So-Called Black in America. Um, I'm trying to do my YouTube thing, man. I'm trying to figure out how to work YouTube, man. I'm trying to get like you, man. I'm trying to get like you. I'm trying to do the YouTube thing, man. I'm trying to figure it all out
yeah.
so I could be like you, man, and be on camera. You know what I mean? I'm still on the podcast audio thing, but I'm trying to get like you, man. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there.
I say all I got is a laptop and a microphone. That's all I'm using, yo. That's what it's
Really?
yeah. So basically, what I got, I just got a little cheap. I got a mic I got from Walmart for like $15. Just a regular
Okay.
USB microphone, and I'm
Okay.
using the laptop camera. That's probably why it's glitching. And I just got this
Ah,
laptop, so I'm trying to test the
okay.
camera out. But
Okay.
I was using my cell phone, like when we did the other episode. I was using my cell phone
Uh-huh.
webcam. I had that hooked up as the webcam,
Okay, okay.
and the
Well, I got good
background.
mics, you know.
Yeah,
I have some good mics and I have system and everything. I'm just trying to look at the camera and everything and how to record and do all of that stuff and get it on YouTube and that whole portion. I
man.
got to figure out. Maybe I'll get with you. Maybe I'll get with you and we get together offline and you can square me away on that, man, and drop some knowledge on me with that.
Got you, man. Definitely. The background, I could make you one. I made the background.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, you did? Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, that'd be good, man. That'd be real good. I'd appreciate that, man. I definitely
definitely.
appreciate that.
Got you. Yeah, man. Thanks a lot, man. I'm
No problem.
about to go ahead and let you go. I know you just got home and everything.
I did. I did. It's been a busy day, man. But listen, I appreciate you having me on, man. And thanks for everybody listening. I really appreciate it. I definitely
Definitely.
appreciate it, man.
All right, man. Peace.
Okay. All right. Peace out, man. I appreciate you having me. Take care.
Definitely.
All right.